So in terms of business intelligence or BI for Office 365, in particular, the SharePoint component of Office 365, there's not really a lot of BI that you can do currently. However, Microsoft's slowly trying to work on that. They're introducing a new BI component for Office 365, which works in concert with the SharePoint component of Office 365, and it's called Power BI. So if you can just look up here real quick, it's called Power BI. It's basically Microsoft's solution for SharePoint, or just in general with respect to providing data from external sources into SharePoint. Um, it's the solution that's comparable to the on-premise version of SharePoint, which is basically Performance Point services, and of course Excel services. From what I've seen in Office 365, in particular the SharePoint component or SharePoint Online, um, there is no component for Performance Point services. So if anyone's familiar with SharePoint on-premise or the normal version of SharePoint, there is a component called Performance Point Services, and it's basically one of the BI components that you would use to pull in data and basically get SharePoint to show you metrics and KPIs and whatnot with respect to your external data or even data within SharePoint. Um, so I just want to really quickly show the Power BI component for SharePoint Online for Office 365. So right now I just have a regular team site, and basically how the how the Power BI component works is it's pretty much just a standard component that you would just add to your site, and it's right here. And basically all it really is just Excel services, really. It's Excel services working with an Excel document. So basically the main engine is Excel and Power Pivot and Power View. If anyone's not familiar with Power View, it's just basically a different way to visualize data in addition to looking at it via a Power Pivot chart or a Power Pivot report, essentially. So basically, this is the Power BI component for SharePoint Online for Office 365. As you can tell, it's in a preview mode, so it's not available currently for standard Office 365, but I believe at a later date Microsoft will make it available, and anyone that currently has Office 365 can now, I'm not quite sure if it'll be an add-on or you would have to pay an extra service for it, or perhaps if you have an existing E3 or higher subscription, it may just come with it. I'm not quite sure. So basically, this is the bulk of it. It's really just Excel services. What I wanted to do is I just wanted to show you essentially how simple it is to really utilize the Power BI. So I'm just going to minimize here, and I'm going to go to my desktop. And I have a sample Excel spreadsheet that Microsoft provides for Power BI. So if I double click on this, pretty much what you're going to notice is that all the main power is already built into the Excel spreadsheet. And really what you're doing is you're just simply uploading that Excel spreadsheet into SharePoint Online. And then what SharePoint Online does is simply just uses Excel services to publish this data and allow it to be visible through the browser using Excel services. That's pretty much all it is. And of course, with the Excel services and the Power BI, you also have the ability to synchronize the data. So keep the data live and updated through the Power BI component. But real quickly, I just wanted to show you, this is just your standard Power View spreadsheet, essentially. And again, if people aren't familiar what the difference is between Power View and Power Pivot, real quickly, just a quick primer. Power View has two components. Power View has measures, so essentially the model of the data. So this is basically a snapshot of data from a data source. And so as you can see, these are the different tabs. You have employee type, you have recipes and whatnot. And so this is the actual model or the data. And then what you do is you minimize this, and then you could either create a power pivot. So I can create a power pivot chart based off of that data, and that's the visualization component of the power pivot, where you would create charts and reports. And then Power View is just exactly the same thing, except it's just a different way to visualize. So in this case, we're using Power View, but we're still using the same model of the data that's pulling from Power Pivot. Okay? Um, so basically, this is just average sales, and you can click on any one of these and drill down and get more detailed information, just like what I did just now. So I think you get the idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to close this, and we're simply going to upload this into SharePoint. So I'm going to go to my SharePoint site. I'm going to go to Documents, and I'm simply going to drag this file over. So I drag that over, and it's slowly uploading the Excel spreadsheet to SharePoint. There's another way that I could also upload the data. I could have also just simply gone to Site Content. Just do that again. Now let's finish uploading. Gone to Site Content, and then Power BI. And so now what you should see is you should see the uploaded document. I just uploaded, and here it is. And because I just uploaded it, it's taking time for it to create a snapshot like these two other sample documents. But another way I could have uploaded is I simply could have clicked on Add, and I could have uploaded the document this way if I just want to upload it directly into the Power BI. So I'm just going to refresh this, see if it actually has a snapshot. So it doesn't have it yet. But in any event, what I can do is I can simply click on this. And what should happen now is I should see the same data, but now I'm viewing it in Excel services. So basically now SharePoint is handling or driving the viewing of this data. And so again, here's the data, but now instead of it being loaded or me opening it up in Excel, I'm now utilizing Excel services. And so that's pretty much the power of the BI component within SharePoint Online or Office 365. So again, this is a sample document. So as you can see, it has all the cool slicers and whatnot. I'll probably do another video and show you exactly how to build and create these slicers from a data source such as SQL or SAP or something, or Oracle. But essentially, I think you guys get the idea. The magic of the Power BI. It's really a combination of the Excel documents that you create in concert with Power BI component and its ability to synchronize or keep the data fresh. And so I'm going to go into the synchronization component right now. So like I said, this has a data source. All this information is a data source. Currently it's a snapshot right now, so it's not live data. But what you would initially do, and this is probably the more complex part of the Power BI component, is you go to the Power BI Admin Center, and pretty much this is where you would do the synchronization component, or you would allow to ensure that this Excel document is pulling in new data, fresh data every minute or something like that. You would need to create a data source and establish a gateway. So this is the Power BI Admin Center. If you establish a gateway and you set up a synchronization component, you'll see data here showing metrics with respect to, in this case, the gateway CPU usage. So essentially, this is my gateway. What this is pretty much, it's this right here. It's a Microsoft Data Management Gateway Configuration Manager, which you download, and pretty much this basically allows for your Office 365 component to connect to your local instance or um, your local server essentially. So as you can see, I have a gateway name is test, it's registered, and it started, and I have a connection. So basically, Office 365 knows the server that I need to connect to synchronize the data for this particular Excel spreadsheet. Once you establish the gateway, you then need to specify your data source. So I have my data source here. I have my connection info, and then what I then need to do is I need to establish my credentials, and then from here you're going to open up another type of applet, and this is the data source manager, and pretty much what this will do is it'll pull in the necessary information it needs from your local server. It'll establish the connection string, and all you would need to do is put in the username and password, and then from there you would test the connection. So now what happens is your data that is in the cloud, that is in an Office 365 SharePoint Online, is now synchronized to your local server, and now when you refresh this data, it'll be fresh, updated, new data essentially. And that's pretty much what the BI component is for um, for SharePoint Online or Office 365. Okay, so again, it's pretty much similar to Office or SharePoint Online, except there's no performance point services. The power is really driven in the Excel spreadsheet that you upload and the data that you specify and the model that you develop and the visualization that you create within the Excel spreadsheet, and then you then upload that to SharePoint, and SharePoint will utilize Excel services to display the visualization, and then the Power BI will then allow or establish a connection, so you will ensure, or it will ensure, that the data is updated and pretty much refreshed daily and updated as much as you need it to be. Okay, I hope you found it informative. I'm not going to get too much in depth because this is a preview. I'm going to wait till Microsoft actually deploys this officially, and then I'll probably do some more in-depth business intelligence for Office 365 or SharePoint Online. Hope you found it informative. Thanks. Have a great day.